This one's for anyone wondering, why on earth would somebody sell their house to me at such a discount that I could just pass it off to an investor and make $13,000? And our guest today masterfully taught us what the 4 pillars of motivation are that you can listen to when you're speaking with somebody that responds and says, yes, I want a cash offer on my house. Yes, I want to work with an investor. And you can walk them through exactly how to solve their specific problems. Our guest is Vince Flores, and he's in Texas. And this is the podcast for helping you 10x your income and replace your W-2. My name's David Lecco. I created a process that's helped people close 10,000 deals in all 50 states. My co-host is Ryan Haywood, who actually has done 421 deals in St. Joseph, Missouri. And we're here to tell you guys how to quit that job through wholesaling real estate. So Vince, tell us, how did you make, was it $13,000 on your first wholesale deal?
Yeah. So using the app, DealMachine, I identified a house. Actually, I was identifying a house in a different town. And when I called the number that came up, the lady said, well, no, this is not the right address. And I said, oh, well, do you happen to know anybody interested in selling the house? She said, yeah, me. And then she goes, but I've already talked to some folks on the phone who contacted me. And but if you want, you can come over tonight. And I said, okay, sure, I'll do that. So after work, I drove over there. It was an hour and a half away from where I worked, and crossed 2 county lines to get there, and sat down with her, and she began to tell me her story. And I sat there and listened, and she said, well, how much can you pay me? And so we talked about, I tried to cover the 5 pillars or the 4 pillars with her.
What are the 4 pillars?
The 4 pillars are urgency, condition, motivation, and then price. And
okay, how did you end up covering that with her? Like, what did that sound like?
Well, just listening to her story.
Okay.
She was planning to move to a different state to live with her son, who was in the military. And so that was the urgency. She had bad memories about the house and some things that had gone on there that she wanted to be done with it. The condition was she'd rented out the back part of the house with a hoarder, and it was just shoulder height stuff cluttered everywhere except for a little pathway. It was a back bedroom, living room, dining room / which you couldn't even see. And the lady slept on the sofa, and the sofa on top of stuff. So it was pretty bad. The house was falling apart. House was built in, I think, 1914, but it had been remodeled in the 70s by the owner. It was a pretty bad remodel. There was no easement. It was built right on the line, which will play into an issue that came up later. And so, listening to her story, we got around pricing, and she wanted, I think she said she wanted $100,000 initially on it, but then she disclosed that she owed back taxes, $40,000. And so I said, we don't cover that. That's something that's going to come out of the proceeds and any other fees associated with that. And she was okay with that. So long story short, we get it under contract, and I can't find a buyer. And so we delayed closing. I explained the situation to her, and I had told her up front that I'm either going to sell this, fix it, rent it, or fix it and sell it. But more likely, I'll probably just sell this to somebody else. And nobody would buy it because of the condition of the house. It was part slab, part pier and beam, and just needed a lot of rehab. It's going to need a complete gut. Sometime between she took ownership of the house, she had nephews who would come over, tell her they would fix things, and they never did. So she had no kitchen cabinets. That was all torn out. There were door missings. She had a AC or a HVAC unit in the attic, didn't work at all. So that would be more costly. And so I finally got calling real estate agents. I finally came up with, going online, looking at fix and flips in the area, contacting those real estate agents. Because I already had a list of that I had put together of potential cash buyers, but none of them, I got no takers on. And that list was 200 long. So I thought, okay, I need to develop another list. And so I went out and started looking at the area, the whole area, and seeing who was on fix and flips and who was a real estate agent. That produced our eventual buyer. And he came in and he noticed that there was no easement on the property. And when the people in the 70s who had this house, when they built these huge additions, it was just empty fields next to them. Well, now when I saw it, probably now there's a house. So that easement now becomes very important. The builder, the fix and flip / builder became concerned because he couldn't get a straight answer from the city. Would they let it grandfather in? And if not, that means where this on this property, she'd have to remove a bathroom, would be lost. The whole roof line needs to be redone at that point to remodel the house so it's back on the easement. And one day he would call the city, they'd tell him one thing, next day he'd call the city, they would tell him something else. So he's like, this is just not going to work. And so I said, well, let's see what we can do. Let's not, since you're interested in the house, let's not throw this all out. So we renegotiated and got it down to 60. And then from there, all the fees that were associated got eaten up from the county. And then and back taxes and all those other type of things that were assessed. The other thing is after we signed contract, we discussed, well, you do understand that once we close, you need to give me the keys. And she was like, no, I can't do that because I don't have money to move. So I raised private support. First time doing that to get her to money she needed to move, which is about $2,000. And then the next day she calls me. She goes, by the way, I've already paid for a cruise, and I need to secure the tickets, and I need additional $2,300 or something like that. And I said, okay, look, I can't promise you anything, but let me see what I can do. I said, is this all the money you're going to need? Because I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, that's when you price changing and coming back that many times, that becomes, it's essentially it's eating into what your take home is going to be.
I laid it out that I wasn't paying for that this would be, I'm going to loan you money to do this with the understanding that you're going to pay any fees that are incurred in getting this money from the bank. Because I knew my private lender would have to pull that money out and he'd pay fees for that and anything else to assess. And so she was good with that. So I quickly wrote up a receipt, had her sign that and say that, this will be due when you close. So she understood that, that when you close, you'll reimburse me these funds. And
Good call. How'd you come up with the idea to do this? Is this something you'd heard of before, or just from life experiences knowing contracts are the best way to do this?
Well, I when I listened to her story, I realized that, and my heart went out to her, that she's an elderly woman. Well, no, she's not that much older than me, just a few years. But throughout her life, she had made a lot of bad financial decisions, just bad. And part of me wanted to really help her out. But then I realized that's not the scope of what I do. This lady needs counseling, financial counseling on how to better deal with her stuff. And my assessment of her was she's going to eat through whatever she has in less than a year. And she did, because when she got back from the cruise, she went out and bought a new car. And so she just wiped out whatever she had. So
man,
you sent a mailer and it was for the wrong property.
It was a
But then
cold call.
Oh, it was a cold call.
Okay.
Okay, so you basically identified rundown houses. You got their phone numbers from DealMachine, and you called. That's what happened.
Yes. Well, at the time, um, you guys did not launch your skip tracing thing, so I had to skip trace it.
For those that don't know, skip tracing is a term that means getting the phone number of a person who owns a house. And what Vince is talking about is something we just released over Black Friday in 2023, where you no longer have to press a skip trace button, but we provide you the data about who owns a house right when you're looking at the house. And it's the same data referred to by the 911 directories, and it provides 90% of the caller ID information to the whole U.S., and the top 10 banks use the same data that we do to verify identity for risk and fraud. So this is very, very accurate data. You guys can get access to this if you don't have a DealMachine account already by going to DealMachine.com/pod, and you'll also get $35 of direct mail you can send to sellers to get your very first deal.
And then I got her number, and it was the wrong house. She goes, "No, you have the wrong number. I don't even live in that town. I live in this town." And so I said, "Oh, okay. Well, do you know anybody?" She says, "Yeah, me. I'm trying to move by September." So
Gotcha. All right. So then you got the address, you put it under contract, but it was too high for you to make any money on it. So you renegotiated back down. Correct.
Correct.
And at that point in time, she had a signed contract for buying her house with you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And then after the contract was signed, she said, "I also need money to move and go on a cruise." And you separately did that outside of the contract, right? Just to make it easy for her to accept.
Correct.
Okay. Where did you get that money from, or did you have the money yourself?
Well, I didn't have the money. I had to raise it. And I had a friend.
From who?
From a friend, one of my friends. He's a college student, but it's a very, very sharp person. In his financial class, and on one of his exams, he had to do a cost analysis for a stock. And he told his teacher, his instructor, his professor, that it would be impossible to complete this assignment because the stock split. And the professor was not aware of that, but my friend went ahead and did a cost analysis, and the professor was just shocked that he did this. So he's kind of a numbers guy, but also an entrepreneur. And so he had shared that, doing different entrepreneurial activity, I have raised $75,000. And if you ever need, any money on a venture or anything, just let me know. And so this came up.
So he's doing side hustles.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the deal? What was in it for him for you letting you borrow this money to help this lady?
I told him I would pay him back 12% interest.
All right. So he let you borrow what, $4,000, something like that?
Yeah, it was about $450.
Okay. Yeah. So he was getting back, $5,000 or something.
Correct.
Yeah. And you got that money to pay him back once you passed this deal off to an investor and made $13,000.
Correct.
As a finder's fee.
Yeah. So I had developed a list, a buyer's list on my own, using Facebook and then using Facebook, and looking up, cash buyers and writing down all the cash buyers I could find. And I did it for not only the Dallas area, and I'm north of Dallas, and this town was even north of where I'm at. It's an hour north from me. And so one of the areas that I ran into is that sometimes people in a major city won't go 2 hours out. I also got to meet or know other investors, what they want, what they're looking for. Some people told me, "Hey, I only work on houses 1970. I only work on houses no later than 1960, that type of thing." So I separated those out and kept those. And so, but going through that and blasting that out, I went ahead and signed up with Constant Contact. For my size, I realized that'd be the best way to communicate with cash buyers. So I sent the photo out, sent the information out, got a couple people interested, but nothing really came of that. And so now I'm thinking, okay, now what do I do? I said, well, let me reach out to maybe I can JV with somebody. And I thought, well, let's not go through that route yet. That'll be the trump card, so to speak. If I have to do that, I'll do that. Because I got to learn how to do this. That was my mindset. I have to learn how to do this. I've got to figure this out. And so then I realized, well, another avenue to raise cash buyers is to go to an auction. I said, well, I don't have time for that, and I've already missed it for the month for the counties I'm in. So the second option, let me start calling real estate agents who represented fix and flips. And so I did that. That took me about 3 days to do. Came up with another list of 100 people and just started calling them, and called all these real estate agents. They were very thankful that I called them. One or two were like, hey, you're a wholesaler. We don't really like you guys. But the rest were all good. They're all good. Yeah. What do you have?
What was your pitch? How did you get them? Like, how did you introduce yourself, and how did you build the bridge on how you could help each other?
I said, hi, my name is Vince. I was noticing on Zillow or I think I was using Redfin more than Zillow. I said, I noticed on Redfin that you represented a house on such and such and street, and that you represented the buyer or the seller. Is that true? She says, yeah, that's correct. Great. Well, I have another property. I don't know if your seller would be interested in fixing this one up as well. But he great, send me the information. So I blasted him out the information. And the real estate agent that I wound up working for says, well, I actually fix and flip myself. I also have a partner. Let me get together with him. And so, I did I had two open houses, I should say that, 2 inspection periods. So I had people come out. First time, nobody showed up. The second time, this one guy did, the real estate agent with his partner, and I could tell they were serious because he's looking at roof lines, he's taking notes, he's walking the property and just looking at everything, and I knew that he would take it. And I had scheduled others to come, but just he came. I think I had 4 other who were guaranteeing that they were going to be there. So I said, hey, let me know for sure, so I can make sure that you can get in and all that type of stuff. And then I went out and bought a lockbox because the lady said, she goes, hey, well, I won't be there. And I gave her $50 not to be there. So here's a gift card, go do a manicure. And because she had mentioned in our conversation when I first met her that, I'm really struggling financially. I don't even have money to just do basic manicure. So I put that in the back of my mind, and I said, hey, I'm going to have people come and look at your house. While they're here, why don't you go out and get a manicure? And here's $50 to help you with
listening.
That.
Great,
dude. I love how creative you are on both ends of this. Like the creative thinking and the problem solving that you put on display on securing these deals is impressive. Like being able to help multiple people through this process is essentially what our target is, and so I think that the fact that you helped this lady get expenses for moving and for her cruise, and like it doesn't sound like you were approaching that from a what's in it for me. It was just, it seems like a genuine, you wanted to help. And even this gift card idea, I think it's awesome. It's a good opportunity for you to provide value to other people, which in turn, it comes back one way or the other in the turn of they will refer Vince to other people. Hey, I had a great experience with Vince. He did this, this, and this, and it could lead to more business. And I think that referral business is always good. But I think referral business is the best because of these types of connections. So I applaud you. I think this is really awesome what you're doing in terms of just being a helping hand for these people that need some extra assistance.
Well, you're very kind, Ryan. I appreciate that. I was really, my goal was not to go ahead and make sure that the deal gets done. And so I was I was more concerned about that, because from the get-go, I said to myself, I want to start by laying down the foundation that if you work with me, it gets done type of thing.
Yeah, that's great.
And so, I was prepared, as I said, I was prepared to reach out to some other folks I knew and do a JV deal, but I really want to learn how to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Well, where can people find and follow your journey, Vince? Do you have Instagram?
I do, but I don't post anything yet. And but I will start posting things this week. I'm going to be going driving again, and I'm going to start posting just my journey. I'm not going to really work on creating content, just posting my journey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
It's Vincent. I believe it's Vincent Flores, all one word, VINCER FLORES, VINCER FLORES _
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure you post that like you said you would, because we'll be sending people to follow you there. Thank you so much, Vince, for sharing your story, and I can't wait to see how some of those other ones land in January. For additional listening, check out episode 88, which is how to sell your deal with Ryan Haywood. He breaks down exactly what he includes in his email when he's marketing his properties to buyers for the very top dollar. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.